Okay, our participants should be streaming in. I'm going to pause. Welcome to today's webinar, Cybersecurity Awareness, an Introduction to Protecting Your Small Business with our distinguished panelist, Ms. Estefanita Rawlings. Estefanita Rawlings is the Technology Coordinator for the New Mexico Small Business Development Center Technology Commercialization Accelerator at New Mexico Tech in Socorro, New Mexico. As the Center Director, Estefanita works with clients regarding their intellectual property, along with counseling and educating clients on intellectual property protection. Estefanita is a New Mexico Tech alumni with degrees in computer science and mathematics. Prior to coming to the NMSBDC TCA, Estefanita worked in the education arena as a senior data analyst and a senior program analyst for many years. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to today's panelist. Thank you, Estefanita. Oh, I wanted to remind everybody, if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen. And just so I know everybody on the call could use the Q&A, can you put a hi, hello, how are you into the Q&A? Hello, Kathy. Hi, Simone. And hi, Tom. Tom, good to see you. Hello, Emily. So I think most of you know how to use the Q&A, so I have no qualms about your ability here. You're Zooming like pros. And then if anything is to go wrong during the webinar, like you can't see or hear us, would you raise your hand? And just so I could see that you could raise your hand, would you raise your hand for me? Very good, lots of hands being raised. Very good, I appreciate it. And Joseph says, hi, Joseph. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Estefanita Rawlings. Thank you, Steffi.
Thank you, Christopher. I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you for that nice introduction. And welcome to Cybersecurity, an Introduction to Protecting Your Small Business. I am going to turn off my video so my system won't lag behind so much. But before I do that, today we will go over some terminology, and I want to talk to you about 3 government agencies that have set up security standards to help one protect their data, privacy, devices, and businesses from the adversaries that want to hack your system. At the end, I will provide some resources, and we will have a question and answer session. So again, I'm going to turn off my video, and then I will move forward. Okay. So we will start off with some terminology. Today, you hear cyber, and cyber is relating to or involving computers or computer networks. That's any device used to access the internet. Cybersecurity is the protection of computer systems and networks from unauthorized users. A cyber attack is when an unauthorized user tries to get access to your computer or computer network, and in order to steal your data or damage your software, hardware, or to disrupt the services you provide. And then you all probably have heard of phishing. And phishing is an email method used to attempt to obtain your credentials so they can get into your computer system. Phishing is the #1 way a hacker can compromise your system. We have ransomware. Ransomware is software that gets access to your system, may encrypt your data, lock you out of your device and or systems, and demand a ransom to be paid. Upon payment, a key should be provided to allow you to obtain access to your system. Sometimes your data isn't returned after you make a payment. And also with ransomware, it's recommended that you report the ransomware event to the FBI. A virus is an unauthorized software running on your system with the intent to break the system or to allow hackers access to your system. Sometimes you may have a virus sitting on your machine for a long, long time until the adversary activates it. Also, antivirus is software that identifies viruses running on a system and either quarantines the virus or uninstalls bad software. And malware is any type of malicious software that is designed to cause harm to computers, servers, and or devices. And a data breach is when data is stolen and either sold to the dark web or is published on the hacker's website. Or they try to sell it to someplace else, to other people that would care to have your information. A hacked is when you get notification that someone has your data or they could be requesting money to release your system. Some of the terms we mentioned have to do with data, computer systems, and networks, and what happens when cybersecurity best practices are not in place. We have all been attending webinars and reading information regarding cybersecurity awareness. Some of the awareness include keeping your software up to date, use and require strong passwords, change default usernames and passwords on devices such as your router. And lately, you've probably been hearing more about implementing the multi-factor authentication, the MFA. That is when you enter a password, then you may get a text message from your MFA, and you have to enter that code. So you're actually entering 2 passwords. So that's where you get the multi-factor authentication. And then another thing is encrypting your devices. This is all good. There are several federal agencies that have set up tools to help businesses get started with privacy and security process to help keep your computer systems secure and your data private. The NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, is a government agency that has been tasked to create cybersecurity standards, guidelines, and best practices for the U.S. industry, federal agencies, private and public businesses. The website is www.nist.gov. The website has a list of many documents called frameworks to follow. Today, I am going to talk about 2 of the frameworks, the privacy framework and the cybersecurity framework. The privacy framework addresses privacy risks, and the cybersecurity framework manages and reduces cybersecurity risk. So the NIST privacy framework is a voluntary tool that can help your organization create or improve a privacy program. Effective privacy risk management can help you build trust in your products and services, communicate better about your privacy practice, and meet your compliance obligations. Good cybersecurity is important, but can't address all privacy risks. We have 5 different functions with the privacy framework. And so the privacy framework is going to deal more with your data, okay? So they include the 5 functions are identify, govern, control, protect, and communicate. And so we're talking about your data here. So first, you want to make sure that you would identify the data you're processing from collection disposal, all the way from collection to disposal. This should include your customer client information, your suppliers, this could include your customer, client information, your suppliers, your human resources information. But you need to identify your data that you're processing. Map out its flow through your system throughout the full data lifecycle from collection to disposal. The next one is govern. Know your privacy obligations that you need to have to be compliant. Privacy culture starts at the top. Determine which privacy values your organization is focused on. Connect your organization's privacy values and policies with your privacy risk assessment to foster trust in your products and services. Help your workforce know their roles and responsibilities so they can make better decisions about how to effectively manage private risks in the design and deployment of your products and services. And then regularly reassess to see if your privacy risks have changed. This can happen when you make improvements to your products and services, change your data processing, or learn about new legal obligations. The third function is control. Control your data you are collecting. Why are you collecting it? Consider your policies. Are you collecting, sharing, and keeping data that you don't need? Consider how your policies help you and other organizations maintain control over data and how individuals might have a role as well. What data processing do you do? The more you can disassociate data from individuals and devices, the greater the privacy gains. Consider how different technical measures such as de-identification, decentralized data processing, and other techniques could allow you to meet your business or agency's objectives while protecting privacy. The fourth one is protect. Control who has access to the data. What software are you using to protect your data? Run regular backups. Have policies for disposing your data and devices. Control who logs onto your network and uses your computers and other devices. Use security software to protect your data. Encrypt sensitive data at rest and in transit, and conduct regular backups. When you're doing a backup, make sure that you're not connected to the internet and that you're just backing up your data. Then once you've done your backup, make sure that you can restore from your backup. That's, you can be backing up, but if you don't test your restore, you won't know if it works or not. And then update your security software regularly and have formal policies for safely disposing of data and old devices. And then we have the last function of the NIST privacy framework, and it's communicate, okay? Educate your employees on your data processes, activities, come up with a plan if you have data, come up with a plan if you have a data breach, and how you will provide any notification. Do you conduct surveys or focus groups to inform your product and service design? Include privacy so that you learn more about customer privacy preferences. Consider what you would do in case of a data breach. How will you provide notification or any remedies such as credit monitoring or freezes? How will you restore your data? What's your backup? What's your plan? So mostly the NIST privacy framework has to do with data. So you should be able to identify it, govern it, who has access, what are your obligations, control it, why are you collecting it, protect it, who has access to this data, and communicate with your employees. And then if you were to have a data breach, make sure you have some kind of form of communication plan in place. The next The second framework I would like to expose you to is called the Cybersecurity Framework. And again, it has the framework is organized by 5 key functions: identify, protect, detect, respond, recover. These 5 widely understood terms, when considered together, provide a comprehensive view of the life cycle for managing cybersecurity over time. The activities listed under each function may offer a good starting point for your organization. So the process here is okay, this is going to deal mostly with your computers, your whole systems, and not so much as we talked about the privacy, which was the data privacy. So again, here you want to identify, develop an organizational understanding to manage cybersecurity risks to systems, assets, data, and capabilities. And under these functions, the first function is identify. Identify your critical enterprise process and assets. Oops. And document your information flows. It's important to not only understand what type of information your enterprise collects and uses, but also understand where the data is collected. Maintain hardware and software inventory. Because these are frequently the entry points of malicious actors, you should know the inventory could be as simple as a spreadsheet. So it's important to have an understanding of the computers and software in your enterprise, because these are frequently the entry points of malicious actors. Establish policies for cybersecurity that include roles and responsibilities. These policies and procedures should clearly describe your expectations of how cybersecurity activities will protect your information and system, and how they support critical enterprise processes. Cybersecurity policies should be integrated with other enterprise risk considerations. And then identify threats, vulnerabilities, and risk to assets. Ensure risk management processes are established and managed to ensure internal and external threats that are identified, assessed, and documented in risk registers. The next function we will talk about is protect. Develop and implement the appropriate safeguards to ensure delivery of service. So under protect, you want to manage access to assets and information. Excuse me. Create unique accounts for each employee and ensure the users only have access to information, computers, and applications that are needed for their jobs. Authenticate users with passwords and multi-factor techniques before they are granted access to information, computers, and applications. Tightly manage and track physical access to devices. And then another form of under protect is you want to protect your sensitive data. If your employee stores or transmits sensitive data, make sure that this data is protected by encryption, both while it's stored on computers as well as it's transmitted to other parties. Consider utilizing integrity checks to ensure only approved changes to the data have been made. Securely delete and or destroy data when it's no longer needed to required for compliance purposes. That's one reason you should be storing data, is to be compliant. Again, conduct regular backups. Many operating systems have built-in backup capabilities. Software and cloud solutions are also available that can automate the backup process. A good practice is to keep one frequently backed up set of data offline to protect it against ransomware. And protect your devices. Consider installing host-based firewalls and other protections, such as endpoint security products. Apply uniform configurations to devices and control changes to device configurations. Disable device services or features that are not necessary to support mission functions. Ensure that there is a policy and that devices are disposed of securely. Manage your device vulnerabilities. Regularly update both the operating system and applications that are installed on your computers and other devices to protect them from attack. Possible, enable automatic updates, and consider using software tools that can scan devices for additional vulnerabilities. And then under protect, train your users, regularly train and retrain all users to be sure they are aware of enterprise cybersecurity policies and procedures and their specific roles and responsibilities as a condition of employment. The next function we will talk about is detect. Develop and implement the appropriate activities to identify the occurrence of a cybersecurity event. Test and update detection processes. Develop and test processes and procedures for detecting unauthorized entities and actions on the networks and the physical environment, including personnel activity. Staff should be aware of their roles and responsibilities for detection and related reporting, both within your organization and to external governance and legal authorities. Know the expected data flow of your enterprise. If you know what and how data is expected to flow for your enterprise, you are much more likely to notice when the unexpected happens. And unexpected is never a good thing when it comes to cybersecurity. Unexpected data flows might include customer information being exported from an internal database and exiting the network. If you have contracted work to a cloud or managed services provider, discuss with them how they track data flows and report, including unexpected events. Maintain and monitor logs. Logs are crucial in order to identify anomalies in your enterprise computers and applications. These logs record events such as changes to systems or accounts, as well as initiation of communication channels. Consider using software tools that can aggregate these logs and look for patterns or anomalies from expected network behavior. And then understand the impact of cybersecurity events. If a cybersecurity event is detected, your enterprise should work quickly and thoroughly to understand the depth of the impact. Seek help. Communicating information on the event with appropriate stakeholders will help keep you in good terms of partners, oversight bodies, and others, investors, and improve policies and processes. The next function we'll talk about is responding. Develop and implement the appropriate activities to take action regarding a detected cybersecurity event. Ensure response plans are tested. It's even more important to test response plans to make sure each person knows the responsibility in executing the plan. The better prepared your organization is, the more effective the response is likely to be. This includes knowing any legal reporting requirements or required information sharing. Ensure that your response plans are updated. Testing your plan. An execution during an incident, inevitably will reveal needed improvements. Be sure to update response plans with lessons learned, and then coordinate with internal and external shareholders, let your bosses know that there's a cybersecurity event going on. It's important to make sure that your enterprise response plans and updates include all key stakeholders and external services providers. They can contribute to improvements in planning and execution. So you have, of the 5 things you've identified, your systems, your assets, data, and capabilities. You developed and implemented an appropriate safeguards to ensure delivery of services by protecting. You detected an event and you responded, and now you have your backups. You're going to do your recovery. Develop and implement the appropriate activities to maintain plans for resilience and to restore any capabilities or services that were impaired during a cybersecurity event. Communicate with internal and external stakeholders. Part of recovery depends upon effective communication. Your recovery plans need to carefully account for what, how, and what information will be shared with various stakeholders so that all interested parties receive the information they need, but no inappropriate information is shared. Ensure the recovery plans are updated. As response plans, testing execution will improve employee and partner awareness and highlight areas of improvement. Be sure to update recovery plans with lessons learned and manage public relations and company reputation. One of the key aspects of recovery is managing the enterprise's reputation. When developing a recovery plan, consider how you will manage public relations so that your information sharing is accurate, complete, and timely. So those are the Nist frameworks that I wanted to talk about. And so one has to do with your data and the others with your systems. And I'll basically come up with the plan. Another federal agency that exists is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, also known as CISA. CISA has a Cyber Essential Starter Kit, and the emphasis is managing your cyber risk by building a culture of cyber readiness. So what they talk about is having a cybersecurity strategy, develop a security awareness, and protect your critical assets and applications, ensure that those who need access have access, and make sure your data is backed up. And then develop a crisis response. I'm going to share that website with you, and I'm going to stop sharing this, and then I am going to, wait just one moment, give me a minute. I'm going to take you to the website. I just need to share, and now I'm going to share it. So this is the CISA website, and it's cisa.gov. You can see that this is an official website of the United States government with the flag here. And here, this is the toolkit that they have come up with. And this toolkit is a lot of documentation regarding cybersecurity. Some of them are malware, 5 everyday steps towards online safety, but there's some up here, and it's a toolkit materials for different audiences. And so the one I'm looking at is for small businesses. And so here's some small businesses resources. I hope everybody can see that. But they
yes, we can see it, Steph.
Okay, thank you. They have these PDFs. And there's a lot of information. Here's a mobile security tip card. And you can print this information, but Use strong passwords, keep software up to date, disable remote connectivity, be careful what you post and when, know your apps. So that's just one of there. Here's protecting your workplace materials. Oh, that was a download. Sorry about that. Let me see what it is. Here's an entrepreneur's tip card. But there's so much information out here. There's so many resources out here that one that I think I'll go back here, and I'm going to go. Here's one on malware, tips of malware. This is what malware is. There's your adware, your botnets, ransomware. So here is a wealth of resources here, and you can come here. What I've done at the end of my slideshow, I have all these links here. So here's one on mobile payments and bank cards. Tips: use stronger authentication, make stronger complex passwords, use unique passwords, check your account systems regularly, know your applications. You'll see that a lot of it has to do with your passwords and a multi-authentication. So that is CISA. So we have NIST and CISA. And then I want to talk to you about another resource. And I'm going to stop sharing because I have to go get this page on the right one. Were you guys able to see my the downloads?
What downloads, Stephanie?
When I opened those tips, were you able to see them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next agency I'm going to talk about is called the Federal Trade Commission. And they came out with this website for small businesses. And I've really enjoyed looking at this website because it talks about your cybersecurity basics, which I've mentioned earlier, and protect your files and devices, secure your files, require passwords, encrypt your devices. Here's your multi-factor authentication again. Here's your protect your wireless network, secure your router, use at least WPA2 encryption. And you can check that out if you're connected to your internet, and then you can do your properties on that, you can check it. Train your staff, have a plan. So I've really enjoyed this page. Wait, let me see. Sorry. But another thing that I like about this, talks about ransomware. Here's one on phishing. You can get email. Now, this is really, really important. Phishing is the #1 way adversaries get into your system. So you might get an email that looks like it's from someone you know, and it might have a link. And it looks real, and it says it's urgent. And if you click on the link, they can install some ransomware or other programs that can lock you out of your data and spread the entire company network. What you can do is make sure you check it out, talk to someone, make a call if you're not sure. And again, back up your data, keep all security up to date, and alert your staff. But sometimes you get an email and you'll see it maybe in your junk mail, and you'll see it, your Microsoft account has been hacked, call this number. Do not ever, ever call a number that comes up on your phone number. Comes up on a phone number that comes up on your screen. Sometimes they'll display that. Sometimes it looks like maybe at work, you've gotten an email and it's saying, HR needs your information. Send it to us quickly. And you're going, I just sent that report. Why am I getting this email? Or why does this person need that information? Check it out. Don't click on links that you don't know who your email's from. And I want to see if I can do a poll. Just one. Can I do a poll, Christopher?
No, but we could do it by a show of hands.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was going in this at this website. It has cybersecurity quizzes, and this is to test your knowledge. This is good. See if you have your ducks in a row. If you have vendors that you deal with all the time, what is their security? Do you know what their security is? That's not the one I wanted. Or maybe it is. Are you working with them? There's a whole bunch on, sometimes people can spoof your email. It looks like it's coming from you. They can go get your logo off your webpage. And one demo that we had, I had New Mexico Tech Cybersecurity of Excellence do a webinar on phishing. And what they did is they went and got my website's logo and they sent an email and it looked like it was coming from me. And they had created a small SQL database and they got that information from other people thinking that that email was coming from me. And it was very easy to do. So you need to be very careful and be able to make sure nobody's spoofing your email. Nobody's infringing on your logos and your IDs and making people think that they are you. So this is a really good website. I really like this one. And then the one thing about this is you can download. Can you see this? It's my PDF viewer. And
yes, it's a cybersecurity basics.
Yes. And so this is why I liked this website, because I like their handouts. You can print this. And so it says protect your files. Use your multi-factor authentication. But it gives you a description of them, what needs to happen. Protect your wireless network. Use at least, this is what they're telling you, use at least your WPA2 encryption. Secure your router, change your passwords. Require strong passwords, train all your staff, have a plan, make a plan. What I've showed you is ways you can make your plans, do your inventory, make sure you know who's accessing your data. This is what we talked about here in the framework. They implemented this NIST cybersecurity framework. So you identify, protect, detect, respond, recover. Then also, besides cybersecurity, you need to be aware of your physical security. So sometimes you have your computers on and you may be on a screen where you have confidential information, whether it may be human resources information or customer order information, but you leave your screen open and then Joe Blow from down the hall comes in and starts looking over your back and seeing what screens are open, or you go to lunch and you leave your screen open on that information. You should close that down. Also, maybe you keep your files on your desk. You should store them. Limit physical address. Protect your equipment and paper files. So these resources I'm showing you have lots of information. What you should think about. could take forever and ever to talk about cybersecurity. But I'm just going to give you all the resources to let you come up with a plan and see what you can do to protect your business. Okay, back up your data, keep your security up to date, alert your staff. So this is just a really good page. I have all this listed in my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing this right here, and I'll go back to my presentation. So we talked about the Federal Trade Commission, cybersecurity for small business, and they have documentation for physical security, vendor security. There was also some stuff on hiring a web host. Make sure that their information, they have a cybersecurity plan in place. And then there's cyber insurance, and I didn't go into that, but you can purchase cyber insurance. And if you go back to the trade, it has information on cyber insurance. These are some of the resources, and I have links to them, and you will be getting all these links here. And it looks like it's Q&A time. So before I get there, let me finish this up. From the NIST, CISA, and FTC, and other organizations, you will find readiness documents. The goal for your business is to come up with a plan to make sure you have a cyber awareness essential kit in place. Each and every one will have different plans because not all businesses are the same. Also, if you have a small business and you think they're not going to go after you, well, what would you do if you don't have a plan? You know, you have heard some ransomware horror stories, data breaches, cyber attacks. They are real, and you as small business owners should be aware and come up with a plan to protect your small business, your customers, your employees, and all your information. It's everyone's responsibility to keep our cyber clean and safe. Today, I have exposed you to terminology and resources where a small business can get information to help you get started protecting your small business. I recommend that you put a simple plan in place, do backups, make sure your restores work, educate your employees and yourself on safe measures to take to protect your business. Educate everyone on being safe on the internet, because you know someone is out to get you. So here are some of my, am I still here? Okay, I am going to turn on my video and we're going to go to Q&A. And so if anybody has any questions regarding any of this information, or anybody would like to talk. Also, you know, one thing that I like to tell my clients, because my clients work with intellectual property, and I like to tell my clients that when they're coming up with their idea and they're searching to make sure there's no prior art outside there, make sure you're using a secure browser, a search engine. So I always tell everybody about DuckDuckGo, and DuckDuckGo will let you do secure searches. So once you do a search, 2 weeks later, you're not getting all these ads for the information that you searched for. Some search engines and browsers track every movement you make, and then they scrape all the information. They scrape all the information about you visiting their website, and then they sell that information. So I recommend using DuckDuckGo. Also for a browser, I'm using Brave, and that's been really good. It's an ad blocker. They'll even show you some of the people that are tracking you. So we have some questions. So
The first question is from Norma. Is Defender protection enough, or do I need additional protection like Mcafee or Norton?
You know, I can't answer that because it depends what your risks are. It's if you think that you should spend money for Mcafee or Norton, then that's a management risk that you will have to depend on or come up with. Defender may be enough for you, but it's up to you. It's a risk analysis that you would have to do. Oh, and by the way, I'm not. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. That's it. Sorry if I can't answer more on that. Oh, could you, Emily? Could you please? Okay. Could you please repeat the name of the browser you use? The name of the browser I use is called Brave, and I can demo that for you if you give me a minute, because I think it is so cool. Okay, I am going to share this screen for. Okay, so this is Brave, and then I have my search set up as DuckDuckGo. But this is Brave, and if I were to go to a website, we'll go to the FTC government business website. You'll see this icon here, and this is my Brave Shield. And it's showing me that I have one tracker, and it's looking to see, and I could come down here and I can see who's tracking me. And of course, it's Google. Google's trying to track me, but they have blocked it. So that's one good thing about it. See, it says here, shields are up, okay? And so these are blocked. So Google's blocked because of course, Google would like to get my information. Also, I'm gonna take you to DuckDuckGo.com. And this is DuckDuckGo. And if I do a search here, they'll come up with the information, but I'm not getting tracked. And then also, I'd like to, let's see. So those are some secure search engines and browsers. Okay, that was a great response. I had that. Okay, this has been, okay. You know, tax information tax preparation is, you probably have very confidential information there. So if you feel confident getting one of your antivirus software, that would probably make you feel better. And so you feel more at risk. I mean, less risk. So I hope that's okay, if that answers your question, Norma. You would have to decide for yourself too. And I know with the small businesses, you might not have a lot of employees, and you might not have an IT department, but you might have some people that support you, make sure that you need to be aware of the cybersecurity and the breaches that are happening and come up with a plan. Those websites that I provided to you will be pretty helpful. Some will even go into detail where they have spreadsheets, and they have, with the NIST, the frameworks, they have spreadsheets, and they'll have you like list all your software, list your devices. And another thing you should be aware of and make sure that your at-home employees are coming in on a secured line. Either they can VPNs are out there, and that's a direct tunnel line, especially if they're updating information, and they're out of the office or out of the network and they're coming in. You need to make sure that they are secure and using encryption, and their authentication's there, that they should be logging in. What other questions do you guys have? Do you guys like that Brave? Raise your hands if you thought Brave was cool. Very good. There's some other ones too. I get DuckDuckGo sends me some kind of security email every week, and so I get a lot of tips from there, so that's good. Thank you for raising your hands. Okay. Okay, what else do you guys need? Oh, I want to let you know, I don't know if I let you know, but in October, I'm going to be having a bigger cybersecurity webinar, and I'm going to be having the people from NIST and CISA come and present. So I think that'll be helpful because October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we'll be having some form of cybersecurity information out there. Also, if you have any questions regarding intellectual property, patents, trademarks, copyrights, go ahead and contact me. That's what my center specializes in. And let me know if you need help with some of the links. I think I shared my information. Let me see right here. This is my information if you need to get a hold of me. Okay, well, Christopher, do you have anything to add about the New Mexico Small Business Development Centers?
I'm in the process of putting together our July webinars, so look for an email with our July webinar listings. Thank you, Estefanita, for the wonderful presentation today. And I definitely think the FTC is a great resource for a lot of these cybersecurity issues.
Yeah, it's new too, because the other frameworks are like just 2 years old, and then this one came out new. And so what I try to do with everybody is just put out what the experts are putting out. And so that's why I came up with those.
Perfect. I'm going to end the recording.
Okay, one more thing. You will be